I have become so precise in this thing is that it is not part of my personality anymore. It is part of my skill set. And that
Mm.
is a different part of my brain, that is a different part of even my, I guess, spiritual consideration. It's just like this is something I set out to be intentionally good at. And now I am not good at it unintentionally because I have crafted the idea that being unintentionally good at it is not as valuable as being intentionally good at it.
Welcome, everyone, to episode number 13 of the Johnny Rogers Show. I'm very happy to have my guests on today, so please join me in welcoming comedian Clif Knight.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope you've been good, been healthy, and eat your vegetables, normal shit. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So today's topic that you chose was friendship. So why don't you start off with kind of how you arrived on that one word and why we're starting with friendship today? I know friendship's important, but what does it mean to you?
I guess there's been a lot of many different iterations of what I would consider friendship. Like, everybody knows there's different types. You have your school friends, your really close friends that might not be from school. You get your work friends, and things like that. And then your friends that you just meet out in the world. Somebody buys you a hot dog after a long night partying or something, and that's your
Yeah,
friend
that's a
now,
good friend.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or even to throw it all the way back to like Fight Club, your single serving friends, and I guess the reason I've been thinking about it a whole lot is, especially during the pandemic, um, there was a lot of, people that you lose contact with because you're not seeing them, you're not out and about. And it's like they're people that you're friendly with, but they might not, or no, you might not think about them, regularly. So it's like someone that you might consider a friend, to a degree.
Hmm.
But if you're forgetting about them, or during the pandemic, especially during this heavily politicized pandemic, your opinion of them changes, and now I know cases are all the way back up, but like people are sort of out and about again, having to rerun some of these subroutines with people you probably haven't seen for almost 2 years, and
Hmm.
find out, how they've changed, how the energy between you's changed, what is the sort of like new routine, what's the sort of new interaction that you come up with them after all this time. So that's kind of like why it's been sort of on my mind. Yeah.
Yeah, because that is an interesting part of the pandemic is like the impact that it had on friendships or acquaintances and just like because going back to like what you said about the different types of friends, like if you come from a hometown where you have friends, let's say in your hometown, and then you move away and you don't see them for maybe like 10, 15 years or something, there's a lot to catch up on. But now, like because of COVID, everyone's locked inside. So it's like anyone you run into, there's a lot to catch up on. You're like, oh, this is a totally different person now standing in front of me. You almost have to toss away all preconceived notions of these people before going in to meet someone again.
Yeah, it's like you're having this whole, and I mean, there were people during the pandemic who, they spent a lot more time online, and I spent a lot more time online noticing what they were posting or talking about, and had to reevaluate, hey, is this actually a friend of mine? Like, is this actually someone I want to be friends with?
Mm-hmm.
Or, noticing that some other people sort of retreat a little bit more because they even though they're not out and about, they're at home now, and we live in a time where being stuck at home alone is still a time where you can experience overstimulation.
Mm-hmm.
So realizing that there's a few people, like I was putting together an event, and then when you do events, you gotta go through and see who I want to invite, and then
Yeah.
just looking at my friends list, like, oh my god, I haven't talking to this person in so long, and then message them, and they're like, actually, I had a baby and I moved to BC. I was like, oh, okay.
You're like,
Every
damn.
everything's different. I didn't even know you were dating, like,
Yeah, yeah. Holy
and
shit.
yeah, so that's kind of like, yeah, we'll rewire ourselves, for this new society.
Man, I wonder too how it's going to impact like kids who weren't really able to hit that kind of early socializing throughout that time. Like that, 5 to 7 year old range where they're usually like in a junior kindergarten class, kind of really meeting strangers their own age, if you will, like making their first friends. Like I really wonder how that's going to impact that generation. I don't know, are they going to be called the COVID kids? Like,
I think I don't know, it's just like they're going to be impacted, but I don't think that they're going to be consciously impacted, in the
hmm,
same way that, like,
true,
I had
true.
a lot of friends who were still like in college, in university, and that has hit them a little bit more just because of the bureaucratic entanglement now that's included. It's just like, yeah, they're paying this full tuition, but they don't have access to any of the facilities,
Yeah, that's
which
bullshit.
is totally ridiculous, and everybody knows that it is, but it's just like we're in a system that doesn't allow you to really argue
There's
with
nowhere you
that.
can go to like fight that. Yeah.
No, because it's already technically subsidized by the government, but it's also like subsidized by your own work. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, like, but it
uh
still sucks. Come on.
100%, 100%. I imagine just I was talking the other night about this one time I got suspended from school for like 2 3 days or something like that. And that, like, you're not in school, but all of your friends are in school, and
Yeah,
as
yeah, yeah.
much as you hate school, you totally want to be there, and then you come back after that short time, and everything's different. Like, you really have to
There's new
reacclimate
power
yourself.
dynamics.
Yeah, exactly. There's stuff that you've missed, like, that you missed that one day in math class, and now everything's just fucked. Like, you have
Yeah.
no idea what's going on. Or, you miss a couple of days of gym, and it's like, oh, Johnny can run a full lap now. What? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like this
and so,
motherfucker.
yeah, now those kids have had that for, it's going on 5 semesters straight. Like, it must be wild. Like, in no universe do I want the only person I interact with, you know, to be my parents. Like,
And a screen,
yeah, and the
you
screen the screen's
know?
cool because at least you can alt tab over to some anime or something if you really want to. But yeah, the only person that I'm seeing, like, for sure seeing day to day, is gonna be a parent or siblings or something like that. That sounds like a new hell that we didn't even know existed.
Yeah. Man, it just made me so happy to have gone through all of that before any of this happened, you know? Like
Yeah.
not been in high school. I would not want to have graduated from a car
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
some field. Like, oh, fuck that. Oh,
100%.
upsets
Even
me.
talking about, so the my last year of college at Humber is when they had that huge teacher strike for like 3 4
Mm,
months. And
fuck.
that was stressful enough, just not knowing when I was going to go back to school, but no school was happening. Right.
Mm.
And then we had a graduation, which was sort of half a graduation. It didn't really happen. And then there was the
Teachers were like,
2019. Yeah, a bunch of kids didn't show up. Like, it was sort of, half-mast, the whole thing.
that's
And
brutal.
then the 2019 graduation, fine, all went off perfect. And then 2020, they're like, yeah, no, that's never happening again. Like, and to just imagine that coming out of nowhere, like, people have been preparing for years for their graduation. Like,
Yeah, that's wild.
whoever works so hard to be valedictorian must be so pissed. Like,
Piss the fuck off.
you're
Just
supposed to be
missing that.
standing at a podium, but now all you get
Giving your
is
speech.
pinned. You get pinned.
Yeah.
That'd be
Pinned on the Instagram page.
yeah, or yeah, highlighted in the Zoom call. Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Fuck. That, and then that's it. Like that's the only moment. Like you don't get to do that shit again. They're not gonna be like, all right, take two of graduation. It's like time goes on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You're off
yeah.
to college Zoom classes now.
Yeah, or something, it's very much, I mean,
Uh,
yeah, upsetting for them. But I think even more so, like this is what a lot of people were talking about, why they were like, oh, we hate the lockdown so much. It's just like there's a lot of adults with unresolved, mental health issues that they've been running from for years, by distracting themselves with work or activities or things like that. Like
mhm.
I'm 100% the same. It's even till now, I'm realizing that I was distracting myself from a lot of stuff. And during the pandemic, they had to sit down and confront all of that. That must have driven them crazy. And then being an adult in a space where it's okay to ask for help, but you're an adult and you're not supposed
Mhm.
to, it's the power dynamic with yourself must be excruciating.
I couldn't imagine, like, especially the loads of people who were like so confident that their career was like never gonna go away. You
Oh
know what I
yeah.
mean? Like the amount of people that just were like, there's not a chance in hell. You're always gonna need X, or you're always gonna need Y, or you're always gonna need it. And then the government said, no, you are essential and you are not
Yeah,
essential.
you're not
And
really
everyone,
essential.
that really changed the power dynamic, dude,
Yeah.
within people's selves. Like that had to reevaluate a lot of people being like, not essential. What the fuck does
Yeah.
that mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. And even for that, like, taking into account that the essential designations weren't really, you know, value based in certain situations.
no.
It's not necessarily that it was value based, it was cost, or let's not
Mm.
even say cost, different value. It's what, the economy valued versus what's actually, should be valued to keep our society running. I guess those words are getting interchangeable at that point, but it's like, what's the economic value versus what is the, human capital value
Yeah, yeah,
sort
of
of thing.
course, of
Yeah.
course. Like we need this or else everyone starves. So it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
the value of
Exactly.
that is much greater than, whatever else.
Yeah.
Even if it is close quarters, you just figure out a way. Because then the argument then becomes like, well, if they can do it and figure it out, why can't we do it and figure it out? But it's like, that's not the point, guys. It's like
No,
we're prioritizing the shit that we need.
100%.
We
Like
need food, we need
yeah,
this, we need that.
during January of this year, I was working at a Loblaws. I was working in the produce section of a
Damn, what was
Loblaws.
that like?
And I enjoyed it, to be honest, as one of those like tune out, just do your jobs. Like there was no quotas or anything. I restock the bananas. That's,
Yeah.
it's 6 hours of listening to podcasts and just like telling
Nice.
people where to go find onion
Like,
soup. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. That sort of thing. And then I have lunch in they have that little food counter thing there.
Yeah.
And it was sort of relaxing. It was only stressful because there you don't sit. You don't sit ever.
Mm.
You know what I mean? But then it was mostly stressful because there would be people who do not give a shit. There are people coming in without their masks,
Uh,
and they're touching everything. They're feeling the pears, feeling the
uh-huh.
pears. And I'm like, I get it. You got to feel the pears. You're buying pears and the avocados. You got to feel them. I get it. But it's
Yeah.
like we have the gloves right there. And then
Yeah.
people would come in without their mask or like coming with their dog or something. And it's like, not my job.
But you're
And
still like, ew.
yeah, we had this sort of, is this unwritten rule is like you're supposed to say something, but at the same time, every time any one of us says something to one of these people, that just starts them off, and then they start yelling in every direction, spreading more. And it's like, yeah,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
leave them alone. They'll get out of here as fast as possible. So it's like, yeah, we're doing a better job by not doing our job. And I'm essential, by the way.
yeah. You are an essential worker, Cliff. That is for
Yeah.
sure.
By the way.
Yeah, I
But
don't know.
yeah.
That's strange that like, yeah, sometimes doing nothing is the best thing.
It
Uh,
yeah.
like, because they just don't want to deal with it. But then at that point, you're just enabling the behavior. Like, but what do you do? You know?
Yeah,
Just goes
it's
round and round and round. I feel like at this point, I don't know. It's so hard to say because you at one point you want to be like, if most people are vaccinated, then the people who are scared technically are protected against it. But then even they don't know if that's totally true. And then there's variants, so it's like it's a whole fucking mess. And
it
nobody,
really is.
there's adult, like you were saying, like there's adults that have mental illnesses that are like on the adult, so I can't really say anything about it. But there's a lot of adults who are just like grown babies.
100%.
They're just like old babies.
Yeah.
They just never
Or
matured internally. And then all of these little like triggers of mental blocks of people who told them they couldn't do certain things in their lives. And they went, no, fuck you. I'm going to do it anyways. That's
yeah.
what's happening now.
And even worse, because we do have this, this wonderful internet echo chamber, which
Yeah.
allows them to go and be, no,
I'm right.com.
I'm, 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 I'm standing up for people. This is not right. I don't feel like this is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's because I agree that the thing could work, but it's because you're forcing me. That's the problem. And it's like, oh wow, so you could just let people die on principle. Okay, cool, I guess.
You want to die on that hill? All right, then.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. That's fine.
Yeah.
But coming back to my word, I guess of friendship is just like yeah, during late last year, I don't know if you remember, I had caught COVID from
Oh, yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
recall.
I guess going out because everybody was sort of still doing shows and like trying to be careful and things like this. And yeah, I was living in the West End, and then I went to a comedy club one night, and then a couple of days later I tested positive. So I contacted the comedy club, I contacted everybody I knew that I came in contact with, like trying to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it essentially blew up in my face. And I was very confused for a point in time because I was like,
Of
people
course you
are,
did, Cliff. You told comedians.
I guess is my fault for trying to,
Emotional little pricks.
yeah, and you know, even for the mistakes that I made
uh,
along the way, trying to be like, apologize to people and let them know it's just like, yeah, obviously I
yeah.
didn't intentionally do this.
Yeah. Would you want me to not tell you? Like, so you can get your grand. What are you doing here? Like,
It seemed like I shouldn't have because then I got it on good
it's going
word.
back to that thing of don't tell the guy who comes into the store with the mask on because it'll cause
Yeah.
a bigger deal.
Yeah, honestly, it would have been
It's
better if I
like,
just kept my mouth shut, like
what the fuck are we
100%.
doing here, guys?
And because I went to that comedy club, a lot of people blamed me
Mhm.
for them getting shut down for that scare, and I
Oh,
was
stop
like,
it.
I was sort of like, guys, but this is the right thing to do. Like it
Yeah.
could have been any one of us, and then I
Uh-huh.
got it on good authority that there were others that got it,
We're
not from
lying.
me, and just they didn't say anything.
Pieces of
and
shit.
and it was just sort of like, maybe they let the people know who, like, were in close contact or whatnot,
I would
but they
hope
didn't
so.
they didn't make it as big of a thing with me. Like I was genuinely scared that maybe something had happened because I'm genuinely concerned for other people. And
Yeah.
then everyone else who was there hugging people in this space and sharing drinks and whatnot, they're like, oh, but
Yeah.
you're the piece of shit. I'm like,
Oh my
oh,
God.
interesting. And so there was just a lot of people who I thought, maybe that weren't friends, but at least were friendly, that decided that they don't need me as a person. And so that was pretty interesting to go through while being sick. While I
Oh
was
my
moving as
God.
well, I was also moving house, so it's like
Nice.
lots of fun, lots of fun. Lost a lot of work,
Jesus.
lost a lot of time, lost a lot of my sanity, but
Look,
it's
man, you're still
funny.
here.
It's funny though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When shit like that happens, you bounce back even stronger. Who cares? Life moves on. There's so much happens, and so much has happened even in just 2021 alone. That it's like we're saying, like, oh, it's almost been two
I
years of this thing. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
What do
I
you
don't
mean?
remember anything that happened in 2020.
Uh,
I there's or like the whole mid of 2021 is sort of a blur. Like,
that's what I mean. So it's like fretting on any of this stuff. It's like whatever. I'm just thinking, what's the next thing?
yeah, what is
Ooh,
the next thing?
NFTs. I'm gonna go work on those.
Oh man, I've been thinking about them for a while. And it's
I've been
just
keeping my
like
eye on them. I keep seeing them, and I'm like, I don't know what to
people are
do
saying
here.
it's like, yeah, because I was in on Bitcoin early and then
Mm-hmm.
sold my coins early. So I got in.
Coins up.
Yeah, I got in at like
Damn.
I mined a few coins like back when you could mine
Oh,
coins.
okay.
So I had about 5 coins in 2013, 2014 that I mined myself. And then I once again moving, and then they popped from like 120 to like $500. Right. And
Huge.
I was like, oh my God, I made it. And
Yeah.
so, and I needed the cash and I sold all of them. And I was like, I could have kept one. Could have kept one. Man. And so yeah, even looking at
Live and you
yeah,
learn, dude. You live and you
the
learn.
the tiered blockchain and everything like that, and people are saying it's technically simpler, and it's a direct investment vehicle as opposed to a currency or an economic value vehicle is a little bit easier to wrap your head around, but it also makes it from my perspective as a like I did economics, I traded foreign exchange for a little while. That is literally the definition of a pump and dump. all they've done
Yeah.
all they've done is legalize the pump and dump is basically what it is. So
Yeah. And
not
it's what's even funnier is how transparent the control of it is. Like if you look at some of these crypto coins, all you have to do is figure out who started it and then go watch their Twitter. And the second that they start tweeting about something, just like dump, just sell off the
yeah,
coins
yeah,
because they're trying to like I've seen Logan Paul do it. I've seen Elon Musk has done it a gang of times with both Bitcoin and Doge, where he
yeah,
would just say like buy it and then sells off all his shares and the price just
yeah,
plummets
yeah.
essentially.
You just everybody, like, yeah, it's influencing on this, like, I'm gonna say it's an evil level, to be
Yeah.
honest. Like, it very much is intrinsically evil because I'm not even getting to the environmental impact of it or anything like that. It's literally watching someone in their face and stealing their money, and then people
And telling
love
him
you
it's good
for
for
it.
them.
Yeah, and people
Yeah.
just straight up love you for it. They write memes, they make memes about you. So it's just like, yeah, do I want to get in?
But like here's the thing is it's almost you there's a part of you that almost feels like it's just going to be part of the future. So
Yeah,
it's almost not a matter of do I want to get in, it's like do I want to have a seat at the table when shit changes? Do I want to have a hand in this crypto game if the dollar decides to crash and the economy just goes to shit and now it's worth nothing, you
well,
know?
I'm not worried about that, to be honest. Like,
You invest in
because
gold.
no, not even. To be A lot of people are very scared of the dollar or any of the currencies crashing. It's not likely, technically, because there are so many subsequent economies that actually generate value, as opposed to like the American dollar and even the euro. There's not a whole lot of value being generated in those economies. The value comes from the third world, where it
Hmm.
must be exchanged for something that carries value within those third worlds, which happens to be the American dollar and the euro and the pound. So it's not really that, oh, if America falls, the American dollar will fall. That will not be true. All of those subsequent economies will still need a medium of exchange. They're not going to switch to crypto that way. Like some places are doing it, but it's
Yeah, I
not.
saw some. There was some. Who was it that switched to Bitcoin?
Kenya, I remember it,
It was
that had
Kenya, but there was somewhere in South America too.
Peru. I had someone recently talk to me about it, but they didn't really switch. They just like actually adopted it.
They just were
Uh,
like, "Hey,
it's
El Salvador becomes
Yeah. Oh
first
yeah.
country to
Also,
adopt
yeah.
Bitcoin as national currency."
Okay. So I mean, and even in something like that, they need that because that's an actual security issue. But it's backed technically still by the American dollar. They're not foregoing the American dollar as yet. Yeah, they're breaking the dependency, but it's just like it
Hmm.
still has to be measured against something. They're not going to measure it against.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Salvadorian dollar.
yeah.
You
No,
know what I
yeah.
mean?
That's could you imagine though all these countries are just like adopting it and then again Elon Musk just tweets something and then your whole
Yeah.
national currency is
Yeah,
down. Like
exactly. That's a lot riskier what
that's
you're trying
very
to do.
risky.
Yeah, that's much riskier than being scared that the American dollar will crash. That's
How about this?
yeah.
Do you think there's a possibility of governments creating their own crypto and
I
then
yeah.
banning the other cryptos? Like it has to be run through them.
Um Maybe. I think the thing that is stopping that right now, as it is, yeah, guys like Musk and Gary V and whoever else is throwing their NFTs and their cryptos around, they're just gonna lobby to hold that off as long as possible. All the governments are gonna want is the money, and the
Yeah,
governments want
yeah. They just
their
want
own money.
taxes, right? Yeah.
Not just taxes, but like they want you to invest in these things and then swing that money back to them because once you're holding it in your bank, it's the bank that reinvests it and then makes
Mm,
money on that. And then part of that gets, cut back to the government. The actual control of the currency, uh, the concept of cryptos is that they can't do that. So even if they ban it, I don't think it will matter much. I think we may get to that point once everyone's done robbing. Once, those guys are
mm.
done robbing
Once we're through
everybody.
the medieval time period of
Yeah,
this
once the
currency.
the feudal system is over, then
Yeah.
maybe they'll do that, but I don't see that happening. They're just going to bring out new versions of it over and over again.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of like, oh, if they see any benefit in it, they'd want to take part in some way, in some sense.
It's
Um,
easier for them to just do it
to keep it,
as a
everything's online, right? So that's
well,
why
not only
maybe.
that, it's easier for them to just throw money at a private firm and say, hey, you make money for us now, and then take that on the side instead of trying to implement something that's going to be so expensive for them to control this entire infrastructure, like full stack. That doesn't really make sense from a cost
Hmm.
perspective for any government,
Yeah, yeah. To just
and then
switch it over like that.
yeah, and then if it is as volatile as you say, if somebody could just tweet and bring it down, why would they want to do that? That's
Yeah.
way too much liability.
Best of luck to you, El Salvador.
Yeah,
That's
they
good.
need to a country like that would need to create their own, and then just use that in there and then set a medium of exchange with a fiat currency. They may
Oh.
allow you to exchange it for other cryptos, but it's just like if it's not going to be stable, then everything that you worked for yesterday could be worth 10 times more or worthless entirely, you know.
What a way to live.
Yeah,
When you
yeah,
finish
yeah.
work today, you either won the lottery or you're dead broke.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like, oh, if I have a
Uh,
farm or something, like a potato is a potato, you know,
yeah,
the value of the potato might go up and down on the market, but at the end of the day, I can still eat that.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, enough about crypto.
Yeah, let's get off the
Yeah.
crypto.
I feel like there's 12,000 podcasts that are talking about them right now.
Hey, but
Uh,
now I can include it in the tags. It's
yeah, I
like we
suppose.
it's in the content, I
You know what?
swear.
Yeah, and someone in the comments is going to jump in and tell me how wrong I am about
Yeah,
all that. So
there's
they'll
always
get
those people.
extra engagement about that. So great.
Yeah. I saw you got on making TikToks as well too. Like when did you decide to start hopping on making that content creation train? Because
So
I
actually,
push TikTok on everybody. I'm always like that's the place to go if you want to find like a niche and get a good market.
100%, you can cut off a little bit of slice of the attention market is what I'm calling it now. It's
Yeah.
not it's not about content. Anybody can make content, but you have to grab attention. And that's what apps like that and Byte that are really going for. Um, to be honest, I I was like everybody. Like I hated it at first. Like I was on Smule originally. It was like a karaoke app, which
Oh, okay.
is kind of the birthplace of TikTok, where you're lip syncing or you're singing along and you do the video, and then they started to allow custom sounds and stuff like that, and then people just started doing crazier videos, and then uh, I'm not sure if it's the same company. Just came around and they're like, we're just gonna do a different
Yeah, I
thing
think it was
with the
like
same
Byte
software.
Dance.
Yeah, Bite Dance, and then
Yeah.
there was Musically Rocking or whatever it was
Yeah.
called. And then yeah, I saw guys like Nima and a boss doing a lot on there. Ed World Kim, love him. Um
Edward's great.
and I was really against it for a long time. And then I think it was I went somewhere and someone introduced me to just like a different way of using it that I hadn't thought about, and then decided I was going to start making some content. So, and then yeah, it was the pandemic really that gave me a lot of the time and the space, because then I did one video a day. I posted one video a day every day for 125 days about
Nice.
but that was getting posted over to other networks. On TikTok itself, I was doing like 2 3 videos a day um that whole time, and it was just like it was a lot of fun, but it was also whew, burned
It's a
me right
lot.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah. So I ended up doing that for a while, and then I kind of don't really do it anymore. But you know, I'm coming back slowly to do a few things here and there, just
Yeah,
you
man.
know.
We'll get back into it.
Yeah.
Now I was just I because I saw that and I was telling Michelle on the last podcast to get on to doing like more TikToks because I just like as soon as I got on that app and not just seeing like Nima and seeing a boss and Edworld and a ton of other people that are just like you go and you're like, what, this is amazing. And they've just like
Yeah,
carved out this little like area for themselves on this app. And then as you're even scrolling through, you're like, oh, everyone has. Like there's
yeah,
no, I remember when viral videos, there was like viral videos everyone knew because there was only a
yeah,
few of them at one time.
yeah. And they would rock, and there was only a few networks to share them on. So
Yeah.
it's like you've got
Yeah.
YouTube, you've got what was it? It was Vine back in the day, and then everything kind of filters down into Facebook. So within the week that a
It's
viral
where it
video comes
lands.
out,
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
Facebook is really the bottom of the internet floor.
Yeah, it truly
You
is.
know, and by the end of the week everyone's seen this video. But these days it's like, no, this gets sorted into these different you
By
know,
like interests.
yeah, so it's
Yeah.
like, and the software on TikTok is not going to show you something you're not really interested in, even if it would be something that's interesting to you. If it doesn't really match your taste, you're probably not going to see it.
Mm,
Yeah.
nice. I wanted to ask you too, like coming out of the pandemic, what would you say was like the biggest thing that you learned? I know that you were talking about like we'll base it around friendship here too, and reassessing those things when you come into contact with those people. But was there anything else that was like a big kind of, I don't know, light bulb moment or realization?
I mean, yeah, I was forced to, I say forced, yeah, I pretty much was forced to reevaluate how I rest and my relationship to that, especially as a, you know, any big city comedian will tell you is just like the grind, bro. And like it sort of is back, and I'm sort of doing it again, and having to, you know, like I enjoyed doing it back when I used to. And this time around, I'm sort of like, let me not do that. I am 5 years older than when I was doing this. I had this crazy virus that probably has impacted my energy level. I have a jobby job now, like, you know, have all the responsibilities. And so trying to find in myself those patterns of overworking myself, and then trying to figure out a way of being like, hey, I don't need to do that. I know I feel like I need to do that. I know part of doing it makes me happy, and that is what I was chasing. But if I'm going to keep doing that, I won't be able to, you know, it's yeah, it's even rearranging how I would say it. It was just like, if I keep doing this, you know, I won't be able to keep doing it for longer, so I need to change my relationship to it so I can give myself some
Mm,
longevity. But it's like, no, I shouldn't even be doing it that way. I should just change my relationship to it to allow myself to rest.
yeah. Without
Longevity for
feeling
my
guilty
career,
about it.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
whether or not it's to increase my productivity in this thing, I just should be doing it, you know. And breaking those patterns and finding a good middle ground, or finding something that I'm able to do and still be happy with. Still working on it. Still working on it.
No, of course, man. That's so hard to find that kind of middle ground with yourself where you're just like, and just being patient with yourself too when you're kind of, because I did the same thing where I was going over like what I did pre-pandemic, and I'm like, I can't even imagine cramming all of that into my schedule now. Like I would just be exhausted by
Uh,
that, you know?
I think about what used to happen, in a typical mic week back when I was like only miking. And it would be like, yeah, remember specifically one week, like getting sort of lucky and pulling off like 26 mics in a single week. Like, and there were just mics, like, yeah, I had a few book shows in there, and that's why I was able to like schedule it and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a light school week. I wasn't working a whole lot. So it's just like, yeah, just like go, 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 and
It's
pulled it
grind.
off. Super grind. And like these days, if I have like 5 shows a week, that's like a full week. And then thinking to like people who aren't in the city, they're like, 5 shows a week. That's crazy. What are you doing? How are you? And then
Yeah,
it's just like, yeah, I know my scale is higher, but also I don't need to do it this way.
yeah. Yeah. See, for me, I'm turning it on and turning it off, like because I've been more focused on. I switched over to kind of like making music, and so I have
Saw
goals
that.
within that now. So I'm like, I want to finish this Spotify album and keep my mind kind of focused on that, and then switch back to comedy, which is when I'll turn back on the let me go do, 5, 6
All,
shows a week, whatever I can, right?
all the things. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm not gonna worry about it right now. I'm not gonna be like, oh, am I losing it? It's like, no, it's still funny. Like it's not, yeah, you don't
Yeah.
lose funny.
Yeah, I'm still working on that, because it's just like that sort of thing where it's like, oh, if I don't go all the time, yeah, I'm gonna lose it. People are gonna forget who I
Uh,
am. People aren't gonna book me because it's gonna be like, oh, this dude, are you back now? That question, that question so much is scared me for a long time. Somebody looks at you, it's like, are you
uh,
back now? It's like, what? Did I leave? I don't know.
yeah,
It's
I remember
yeah.
one time somebody looked at me and they're like, where have you been? I'm like, where have I been?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Doing other shows.
Yeah, doing other types of
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
And yeah, even explaining to someone, it's just like, oh, I guess you don't want to do comedy then. And
I don't
eh,
care what, yeah, you know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, I'm just like, I don't give a shit. If you want to push that insecurity, project it from yourself onto me, like go for it. But I'm not gonna feed into that.
it's not, yeah, I mean, it's partly that, but for me, it was just like, I remember talking to like this more experienced comic, and he sort of inspired me to do that, where it's like, he's like, no, I do this. He's like, I'm in this for life. and
Mhm.
i and I suppose I think about it now, and I sort of misinterpreted what he was saying, because I took it as, no, I do this grind and I'm able to hang on to it. But now
Mhm.
observing what he does and the way that he actually approaches this art, he's like, no, I don't have to grind. I don't have to push it, because I know no matter what, I'm gonna be funny. Even if I take this break, even if I do something else, it's
Mm.
still gonna be here. So it's like, yeah, I thought I was listening and I got inspired from what he said, but I missed the point.
I see. I see.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, just reevaluating what I'm supposed to do, which I guess is a problematic statement. None of us is supposed to do anything,
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't have to do anything.
or the thing that your purpose or whatever, or
Yeah, yeah.
even to go as surface level as saying what you want to do, is not even always what's good for you. But this sort of finding the thing that provides you the balance to like yourself. Mm,
Yeah.
mm. I'm having
Yeah,
breakthroughs right here on this podcast. Let me call my
yeah,
therapist real quick.
yeah. Fire him. I'm your therapist now, Cliff.
Let's just do this every week. I'm going to send you
Yeah,
$65.
yeah. You were paying me to podcast. I was like, all right.
This podcast is brought to you
It's
by
the
the Clif
exact
Knight Therapy
opposite.
Podcast
It's the
Network.
exact opposite of therapy. It's just completely airing out your like.
Yeah. Let's not address anything, but address
So funny.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I gotcha. Beat around the bush, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. No, I get that. Like, there's this thing that happens. Like, that's why it's so important to set goals, like, 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, and have your own personal goals of like what will make you happy and fulfilled. Like, know those things, because sometimes when you like, um, you know, pursue something or chase after something, where there's already a clearly defined path, like stand-up comedian, for example, there's many clearly defined paths that you could take to
Sort
be,
of. Yeah.
yeah, right. There is though, like you could do the clubs and be a club comic, or you could go try to work on a cruise ship and be a cruise ship comic. You could try
Yeah.
to get on there's
Try and
lots
book
of
your own
different ways.
tours or
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
Yeah. Try and do
right.
some TV stuff, whatnot. Yeah.
So there's all these different ways that other people have done it. So then what you do is you're like, okay, I'm going to pick this lane, and you start going down that lane, but then you're comparing where other people have been at as almost new goals and new milestones that you
Yeah.
didn't create. They're just like expectations that were put onto you once you started chasing that thing. So it's like, yes, use those as guiders, I guess, but don't be like upset with yourself if you're not hitting this exact same milestones at the same
It's
age or whatever.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
complicated specifically with art. I think like I
Mm-hmm.
use this analogy sort of like your desk gets messy. You've set out to create this piece, and the way that a lot of people say, hey, break it down into smaller pieces and make it manageable. But what tends to happen is then especially on the pieces that you don't end up finishing, you end up hyper fixating on getting that because the larger piece is kind of dependent on that. So even like, yeah, I did have some goals. Like I had a 5 year goal of putting out an album, which COVID kind of ruined. I had a 7 year goal of, getting on a major streaming network, which I sort of did. I have a mini special coming out on Amazon Prime, sort of, that sort of thing.
Said.
Had a yeah, the same 5 year goal was supposed to include getting an agent or doing a tour, which I sort of did. It's just like there's a lot of these half goals that I had set for myself and then either didn't take seriously or got distracted because especially when you're trying to make art your main gig, you have to like chase the cash a little bit. So it's just like I got distracted for a full year paying my bills with comedy. Very cool, but didn't end up doing the things that I really wanted to do.
Hmm. Yeah, I get that. And then that starts to become, then you start to resent what you're doing at that point. If it's like, if you're not hitting the stuff that you want to hit, and then you're needing to, find other work instead to like pay for it, you're almost like, that's why you need that rest and that break almost from it, because otherwise you start to build that bitterness in the relationship with your art, and which you don't want to happen, because then you're going to take that energy with you on stage and in your writing and everything else.
I mean, that really wasn't the problem. Like, on stage, my writing, even like I feel it was good. It was just like I enjoyed being on stage, but it was just like all the other parts just like really weighed on me. And, like, yeah, I'm on stage and I'm funny and pull it off. Like, yeah, did a show, I'll crush it. But then it'll be like, yeah, well, what was the point of that? I'm not gonna get signed, something like that. And truly it doesn't matter. But in your head, it's gonna be like, no, that's a piece of the goal. And if I'm not making that, then what am I doing this for? And I've lost sight of the original purpose of me doing this art.
Yeah, I would even like take it another step and be like, Well, what was the first of all, what was the original purpose of you doing the art?
Um, yeah, and even thinking back, not sure, not super sure. It was, people always told me I was funny, I would be the funny guy at certain parties or gatherings and whatnot. And then, you go to a comedy show and you see these funny people, and it's like, boom, like I've been watching comedy for a long time, Murphy, really Murphy, Lawrence, Carlin, everyone says Carlin,
Yeah.
and Emo Phillips, some of those guys. It's like, oh, these are
Emo folks. Okay.
jokes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These guys have got serious chops to be funny. And I think I can't remember where it was, but I remember watching, this is gonna be weird, but I remember watching JJ Lieberman. And it was kill me funny. You know what I mean? Without knowing any of the backstory, obviously. And so just being like, yeah, I want to do something like this. And then learning how to do it, putting all this work into doing it, and then learning all of the back of the house stuff that you need to be able to do it at this level. And it's yeah, it's become this sort of like piece of my ego, I guess, is what we're gonna say. And so
Yeah.
now the original piece of the art, to be funny at parties, I've lost that because now I'm at the party and people are like, "You're a comedian, be funny," and
Yeah.
it's just
And
like,
you're
guy,
trying to think of bits instead of just being like in the moment or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
or straight up telling them, hey, I'm not going to be funny because you guys aren't paying me, or something
Yeah.
like that. Or they'll
Yeah.
be like, tell me a joke, and I'll be like, doesn't work that way. And now I'm the guy the whole night that doesn't want to be funny because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
my
The
job.
comedian that doesn't want to be funny. And then there goes
Yeah,
that stereotype of, oh, it's always a sad comedian. It's like
100%. So now I've fallen into this
yeah,
trap that
yeah.
was made for me 100 years before. Like, yeah.
Nah, dude. Like you have to like the last time you were on stage, Anto brought this up too in his podcast. So I want to like kind of ask you this. I'm just going off of what he was talking about with like art therapy, but the last time that you were on stage, I know you were talking about when you get off stage, you're like, there's the immediate thought of, oh, no one's gonna sign me, whatever. Like that person, even if you're like, oh, it was good, like they laughed.
Yeah.
Forget all that. Forget the ego part of it too. What did it feel like to just share your voice?
Uh yeah, I suppose I don't even think about that anymore.
Yeah.
It's not even my voice. It's become sort of a craft. I have become so precise in this thing is that it is not part of my personality anymore. It is part of my skill set. And that
Mm.
is a different part of my brain, that it's a different part of even my, I guess, spiritual consideration. It's just like this is something I set out to be intentionally good at. And now I am not good at it unintentionally because I have crafted the idea that being unintentionally good at it is not as valuable as being intentionally good at it. And it's that sort of thing that comics are always scared of, being always on, that
Yeah,
you're
it's that
always,
mental block.
it is a block of something that you already have, because you're like, if I let that get away from me, that's going to be annoying. That's going to be disorganized. It's not going to be valuable in my career. What's more valuable is my control over this art. And yeah, I feel like, yeah, even at this point, that's not valuable to me as a person. That's valuable to
Yeah.
me in the industry, but it's not valuable to my actual, artistic well-being.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that that serves you like well at all if you're like, because you're almost running all thoughts through a filter and all experience through, is this going to make a good bit? Like, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of that too that comics
Yeah.
fall victim to, is that not, it's not just so much like being present with the stuff around you and being able to react and comment on things naturally and not feeling forced to do it every second too, just doing it when it's appropriate. But like the desire and the need to like always turn everything into a joke is like you gotta
Yeah.
calm that shit down, dude. I
or
hate that.
or even worse, which is like not even the desire to turn things into a joke. It's just like being scared that um some regular conversation I'm going to bring up is going to be ignored because it's not a joke, because it's
Mm,
not interesting enough for these people. If I did a thing, I did a lecture. This was last year or the year before, just a informational thing, and it feels terrible to not throw a joke out every 10 seconds, to not have a punchline. I've done,
mhm.
by my count, I've done over 1,000 shows, and it's terrifying now to have conversations with people that casually, that you want to make them laugh, but it's just like, no, I have to actually talk to you right now. you
Yeah.
know and yeah, even trying to be like, hey, let's have a conversation, but hold back that impulse to throw jokes out all the time, then that conversation becomes stale, because now I'm just like, I don't want to do this. It has no value for me you know
You feel that, or you feel that they feel that?
oh, I feel that. They don't feel that. They're
You feel like, okay, if I'm not making this like a spicy, like funny conversation, then it's like, why am I here?
why am I doing that? And then there are times where I do try to just make a regular conversation, and then especially with comedians, they sort of like block that out. They're like, that's not really interesting. You're not booking me right now. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that could also be in my head. So, who's to say?
No, I feel you. I feel you on that one. We're coming up to an hour here now. Circling back on the word friendship. Do you have any like closing thoughts on that word, or anything else you want to speak on that? Or anything else in general, really, that you want to like say to anyone watching or listening?
Um,
You can just
yeah, you
rant.
know what? If by you don't want that, but if
No,
by
go for it. This is the last. This is your final rant, sir.
magical, if
Cliff
by the
Knight has the
magic of the
floor.
internet, that we can post this to YouTube, and it can be picked up by a time machine radio, I will say to myself, is slow down, because nobody cares. It's this working so hard to accomplish things for some validation is not as valuable as taking your time to examine yourself and not require that validation. Yeah, stop and make friends, actual friends. Uh,
Not just people who can book you on their shows.
yeah, or people who can book you, or people who can help you further this
Yeah.
career at some point,
Yeah.
or things like that. Like, yeah, really working out that a lot of connections I have are strategic, and I've been doing that. Like, I worked in sales hardcore for almost 10 years, right? So it's like figuring out how to not do that anymore is,
Mm.
it's
Yeah, that's
still
an
a
old,
process.
that's a hard behavior to kick too, especially if you're a salesman. That's right away, like every interaction, those instincts
It,
almost kick in, right?
it
Yeah.
has to be interesting. I have to make a connection. I have to win this interaction, is the
Mm-hmm.
sales jargon of winning. And also, I need that person to like me once we've left. You know what I mean? Until I sell the thing. After I've sold the thing, I don't really need them anymore.
I don't care.
Yeah.
That's a
Unless
bad relationship with people.
exactly, unless I can sell them more things. And it's like, yeah, that's still this sort of instinct that it's like, no, I do want to connect with these people, but there is this block that I'm throwing up, not to blame the sales industry, but it's, it's here,
Served you well.
we're getting to the root of this. It's all capitalism's fault.
Yeah.
I
Isn't
mean,
it always?
it is, so it always is.
uh,
Yeah.
Capitalism, the great supplier and then great hell at the same
And
time.
100%. It's just like, would I be happier without an iPhone? Who's to know?
I
Like,
don't know.
I don't know.
At this point, I'd say no, but
Yeah, but
before it, I don't know.
we honestly don't know. Like, we
I
seemed
was
pretty
fine.
happy with T9.
Yeah. Yeah,
Remember?
I was
Yeah,
good on that. TVs were fine. We didn't need to keep fixing those.
yeah.
I didn't
It's
need Netflix in the TV. That's fine.
yeah. I
I could
remember,
just
and
do it through the receiver.
though, Netflix came in the mail. That
Yeah,
was,
yeah.
the thing that was keeping a lot of postal workers in jobs. So why don't we?
Let me
Mhm.
automate that and get them out of here.
100%.
Jesus.
You imagine, like, you
Uh,
get your mail-in ballot along with like Beauty and the Beast 5 or something.
You're like, oh, it's voting time. And oh, Beauty and the Beast
Oh,
5.
oh, voting. I vote for Ariel. Oh, she's not in
Yeah.
this one. Oh, okay.
Damn it. I'm going to give your socials a little shout out here. Make sure you give Cliff a follow on Instagram, Cliffy_so_funny. Um,
Yeah, that's the main one.
yeah,
I do have a show coming up this
yeah,
Friday. When does
show.
this come out?
This will be out on Thursday.
Perfect. So I have a show
Yeah,
happening
yeah.
tomorrow at Bathurst and Bloor.
If you're in the
Check
Toronto
out.
area.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of really sick acts. We've got a awesome party happening right after. It is at an escape room, so even if you want to stop and have an escape experience during the party, you are welcome to do that. Like, it's a whole
And if you want to leave the comedy show, good luck. You have 30
thing.
minutes.
Yeah, exactly. You have to laugh at all the jokes in the right way to
Yeah.
leave the show. Yeah.
And then this was your link in bio here, but
Yeah, my easy tree. But yeah, just follow
easy
me on
treat.
Instagram. You'll find
Yeah.
everything.
The links will always be in the description below. But yeah, man, I appreciate you taking the time to come on the podcast. Like,
No problem, man. Thanks
uh,
for
like
having me on here to
great show.
basically empty my head.
Yeah. Empty your head.
This is what we're
I
doing a
love it,
little bit.
man. That's why I love this podcast because it gives me a chance to catch up with people and then and yeah, do exactly that.
100%. I have to
Love
book some
listening.
time to talk to Anto as well as you bring him up. He definitely
Anto's great.
is
Yeah.
is a great guy to like sit down and just talk with. And I feel like he's very busy. I need to like grab him. Like,
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure if you schedule a Zoom call or something with him, he'll hop right on that for sure.
yeah.
Go check out that podcast too. If you're listening to this, go check out Anto Chan. There's a bunch of clips up on the channel too. Don't forget to hit that like button and leave a comment down below with your favorite part. And if you're listening on iTunes and Spotify, thank you. Please leave a 5-star review. But until next time, stay classy, YouTube, or at least try. You can try. You've been listening to The Johnny Rogers Show. New episodes air every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.